For more on the talks, we are now joined by Hellen Dena. She is the project lead for the Pan-African Plastic Project at Greenpeace. Thank you so much for being with us on the program. I mean, I can imagine the frustration. What goes through your mind when you see yet another conference end with no collective agreement on creating a better environment, in this case, managing the consumption of plastic?
Thank you for having me. This indeed is a betrayal to humanity. It's a slap on the face to all the frontline communities that are, mostly affected by plastic pollution. 7 days into the negotiations yesterday, we saw that the chair, came up with a new draft of the treaty, a draft that was so weak, it felt like, it's a gift to the petrochemical industry and an urge for them to continue business as usual. This is unacceptable.
You mentioned the frontline communities that have been most affected by plastic pollution. If they don't agree to curbing plastic and they stick to the recycling method, how is this going to affect these communities?
I mean, these communities are faced by plastic pollution on a daily basis. This is about, their health being impacted. This is about their livelihood being impacted. On the other hand, we have the big, industry, the petrochem industry, raking in the millions in profits, really disregarding the impacts of plastic pollution on human health, but also on the environment. Studies have shown that the detrimental impacts of, plastics, microplastics in human health. And if governments are going to be, dancing around this issue, it is really unfortunate that, we're continuing to see the impacts. We're not listening to the science. It is up to these governments that are here today, being the last day, to really look at this issue and forget about their economic interests, forget about their political interests. We do not need a political deal here. We need a deal that will be fit for purpose, but also one that will serve our generation and our future and our children, because this is what it is really. It is about the health of this generation, but also the future generation to come.
And how does this make you feel about the platforms that are being used? In this case, the one in Geneva, where these countries are convening on making such a huge decision that will affect these communities, and the likes of the COP summits we see happen every 2 years. Just give us a sense of how effective these platforms are in bringing decisions and implementing them into our day-to-day lives.
Look, it's been 2.5 years since this negotiation started, and this is the sixth meeting, and we are still, going round and round in circles. And even in other meetings, such as the COP, we've seen, the same tactics, delaying tactics. There is a huge, delegation of the fossil fuel lobbies that have been infiltrating these talks, not just in this meeting, but also in previous meetings. So really, it's a matter of a few countries that do not want us to move forward, just wanting to derail the talks, wanting us to keep on going round and round in circles while they keep on doing business as usual and producing plastics that is really harming human health. And so it's not just about, do we need another meeting? No, the big question here is that we need to move forward. We need to find a treaty that is fit for purpose. We need to look beyond the environmental impacts and also look at the human element of the human health, because most of what the talks that have been really challenging, and the conversation here is about whether do we need to look at upstream measures and look at things like eliminating production, look at things like eliminating toxic chemicals, and that has been really the big challenge here. And the producers and the big petrochems are really looking at a waste management treaty that will not work.
Okay, Hellen Dena, thank you so much for being with us here on the NewsHour and sharing that insight with us.